Hello and welcome to today's masterclass. Today's masterclass is titled Great Leaders Know This One Thing. And I'm very excited because leadership is a subject that I'm very passionate about. I am more than just excited because we are going to have a great time together tonight. Thank you that you have actually made it a choice. You've made a choice to join us and be part of this great and awesome time. I believe that there's something that you will gain. There is something that you will go home with, especially around the subject of leadership. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Charles Bongan Dlamini, a director at Utmost Incorporated, a company that is passionate about leadership and youth development. And this passion led us to meet up with great and awesome people from Quantum Learning Global. Quantum Learning Global is QLG. And this partnership has made it possible that beautiful and awesome programs that are around leadership, development, young people, empowerment can be brought to our side of the world. And I am excited because this partnership looks like it is going to grow and bring out the best in our young people and also just the people in the Southern Africa region. So tonight I am excited because we have a very awesome and magnificent presenter as our guest who is from Quantum Learning Global, Mark Redden. Mark Redden is a leadership consultant. He's currently the Chief Excellence Officer at QLG, a former Chief Learning Officer, and a leadership consultant, a trainer. There's a whole lot that I can say about Mark. But more than anything, there's an English saying that says, the true test is in the pudding. Now, we want to taste that pudding. So let's give it up to Mark and hear what he has for us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I also want to introduce the team from Quantum Learning Global who is here with me as well. Dr. Cheyenne Correa Foster, if you'd wave for us, please. Thank you. And Paige Goodlett also is a member of our team. They're here as support as well. We are so very excited about the partnership that we are building with Artmos, specifically with Charles and Kumbu. There's something magical that happens when people get together who share the same vision, who have the same heart and desire and intention to do good in the world, and specifically with youth and leadership development. We are so excited. We have come to love and adore and appreciate with much gratitude, Charles and Kumbu. So thank you so much for this partnership. And for those of you who are joining us now, or perhaps will see this on the video, thank you for carving out the time. It's been a day, and your day went as you planned, or your day went maybe sideways, but nonetheless, here you are, and you carved out the time. Thank you so much for doing that. It speaks highly of your desire to not just be a good leader, not just to be a so-so leader, status quo leader, but to be a great leader. Because people who care about the leadership that they provide find the time and the effort, the energy to pour into themselves so they can be their best for their team. And so from this, I think, yes, you will get, there'll be a greater sense of fulfillment for you as a leader, and a greater sense of empowerment for your team as well. Now, of course, in the short time that we have together, we're going to focus on just one truth. There are many truths in leadership, as you know, but today we're going to focus just on one. So as we begin, let's check in with ourselves. Sharing the screen here. So let's check in. Leaders know who they are and what they stand for. Leaders also communicate the vision, they rally the resources, they empower their people to get it done. Now, most likely, again, if you chose to be part of this masterclass, you're in the top probably 2% of leaders, especially in the deep desire that you have to take care of your people. So all four of these statements, leaders know who they are, what they stand for, they communicate the value, the vision of the organization, they rally the resources, they empower their people to get it done. Most likely, you can do a tick mark on all four of those. What most of us know about leadership, if not all of us, is that we find ourselves in scenarios. Here's a few scenarios. Maybe not your team, somebody's team that you are familiar with. Maybe your team isn't performing at the level of our expectations. Sometimes that happens. Most of the time, it's spot on. Sometimes it's even beyond our expectations. And there are those moments when we're just not hitting the mark as solidly as we could. Perhaps the team is experiencing some internal conflict. You know, those meetings after the meeting, we all come together and everybody's nodded their head and then they leave the meeting and then there's that meeting down by the water cooler or maybe outside in the parking lot or maybe in that little cubby space just off the hallway. But maybe there's experiencing some sort of internal conflict, maybe low motivation or even poor morale. Perhaps the team is getting results, yet they're settling for the status quo. Oftentimes, as leaders, we look at our team, we can see the potential, we can see what's possible, even possibly with greater vision than even the team players themselves know, and we're getting results. And yet, status quo, it's okay the way it is. At least we're doing better than they are. At least we're doing better than we used to. So perhaps you find yourself in a leadership position today where you're in one of those scenarios. Based on the registrations that came in over the last week or so, there were many of you who chose this masterclass because you were looking to enhance your culture. In some way, build an ethos, an atmosphere within which people could really thrive, which they could really show up and be the best that they possibly can be. There were others of you who chose this because you were looking at your team and saying, we could do greater performance. We could just kick it up a notch or two. And there were a few of you that I was quite encouraged with, that you stated that you're new as a leader, or at least in this new leadership position, and you were looking to establish a really strong, solid foundation. So for whatever reason you're here today, thank you so much for being with us. The one truth. The one truth. And Paige or Cheyenne, would you capture this like maybe in all caps with plenty of exclamation marks after it? The one truth that great leaders know is that it starts at our core. Leadership starts at our core. Culture starts at our core. Team performance starts at our core. So what exactly does that mean, core? If you take a look and look it up in the dictionary, for example, or some nuance of it, core is simply that place within. And in Quantum Learning Global, as well as at Artmost, we believe that the leader is at the epicenter of culture. The leader is at the epicenter of growth and performance. They're the epicenter of vision. It doesn't mean that everything starts and stops with them. What it does mean is that whatever we want to see outside, whatever we want to see in our people, whatever we want to see in our culture, in our company, in the performance of our people, this concept, this truth reminds us that it begins inside of us, inside our core. And it's that place within which all things flow. This is an actual picture of the vibrations throughout the earth when there's an earthquake and there's an epicenter. And each one of those little dots show the specific moments where there was an emphasis of interaction. So the core within us, within our organization, it's a ripple effect. And if I could see all of you right now, I'm pretty sure you'd all be nodding your heads, giving a thumbs up, smiley face in the chat, something like that. We all know that from our epicenter, our core, there are ripple effects. And those ripple effects are certain. We can count on them like we can count on gravity. Yeah. It's a law, if you will, that our actions, our energy, our words, our facial expressions, every move and expression that we make shows up outside of us and causes this ripple effect. And it's certain, it's like gravity, it's consequential. In Newtonian physics, there is cause and reaction. Cause and reaction. In quantum physics, if we look at it from a leadership standpoint, in quantum physics, it's cause and reaction, cause and effect. So that there is always, in the interactions that we have as leaders with everyone on our team, there was always, at all times, interaction that is consequential, both in useful ways and non-useful ways, both in valuable ways, non-valuable, both in accelerating ways and decelerating ways, is consequential. And as we all know, that ripple effect as a leader coming from our core is also undeniable. So as we look at what core is, a common, understandable definition of the core of our organization, our team, and ourselves as well, is our values and our beliefs. Some people might even put in what our assumptions might be, our perceptions or our perspectives. So what's at my core? If you were to ask yourself this question, what is at my core? If you have paper or pencil near you, perhaps you're taking notes on a digital device, that's fine. Or if you'd even like to, this would be wonderful, to slip it into the chat as well. Would you please list 3 to 5 core values and or beliefs you have as a leader about leadership, about your people, about your organization? One value that we hold to be true at Quantum Learning Global is gratitude. It's a core value of ours. It's from that place from which decisions are made, actions are generated from this place of gratitude. Maybe that's your core value. So as you think of you as a leader, list 3, 4, 5 in the chat box or in your own notes. Great. We'll take just another moment for this. And if you are emoji savvy and know where the reaction button is in this Zoom panel, please feel free to thumbs up, heart emoji, smile face, something like that when you've listed 3 to 5 of these core values and or beliefs. Or perhaps you recall them in your mind. Great, thank you. Integrity, honesty, respect, accountability. These are fabulous. Charles Kumbu, feel free to add yours as well. I'm going to add a few others in here. Collaboration comes to my mind as a core value. We also value in Quantum Learning Global, we value abundance. We value growth. Transparency, thank you. Thank you. Accountability, continuous learning, empathy, integrity, ethics, communication, trust. Wow. I think I can speak on behalf of Dr. Cheyenne and Paige and myself. I think we'd kind of want to work for some of your teams if these are your core values. It's fabulous. All right, let's continue. And please feel free if other thoughts come to mind to put those in the chat box as well as we continue. Perhaps you've heard of this term congruence. It's the act of being congruent. And perhaps for you, as it does for me, I'm automatically or instantaneously transported, transported back to my high school geometry class. Perhaps you remember as well. And in geometry, we were always studying shapes and lines and bisections and dissections, or maybe that was biology, in graphs and X and Y, all sorts of linear and shape types of configurations. As we look at our core and our core values and beliefs, it gets to this, to the heart of it as congruence. So a quick refresher, perhaps, from your geometry days. So we know that congruence, if we had a triangle ABC and we had triangle XYZ, then when we could place one triangle on top of the other triangle, where all points, all sides, and all angles were absolutely aligned, matched up, you could not tell where one triangle started and the other one finished. It was all absolutely, and we call that congruent. We can take our hand like this and our other hand like this, and when we put them together and turn them sideways, for the most part, we could call that congruent. Everything lines up. That's in the geometry world. That's in the math world. That's in the physical world, if you will. In the human dynamics world, in the leadership world, we can think of congruent like this. Some people might even refer to this as integrity, as I saw a couple of your responses in the chat box. So if one triangle we labeled our values and beliefs, and on the other triangle we added words and actions, and if we are to say that our lives as leaders is congruent or integral, then our values and beliefs, and if you want to play along, that's just fine. You could take your imaginary pen, any color you'd like, and write a V on this hand. You could even put a B on this hand. And on the other hand, in whatever color of pen you would like, to put a W for words, an A for actions. As leaders, when we are congruent, when we are exhibiting congruence, our values and beliefs and our words and our actions would line up. Now, this is not a revelation. This is a truth that you already know. Consider for a moment, what are the consequential, the undeniable, nearly predictable outcomes when a leader is congruent? When at their core, their values and beliefs and then their expressions, their values, or their words and their actions line up, what's the effect in the world of quantum physics? Cause an effect. What's the effect? What's the outcome? What's the result? Take a few moments. Throw those into the chat box, please. You feel free to add your contributions as well. One that immediately came, authentic leadership. Thank you, Kumbu. One that immediately came to my mind, both this morning in reflection and also even now, is the evidence of a congruent leader who at their core, their values and beliefs, they're clear about. I'll get to that in a moment. They're clear about those and so conscientious, so aware, have such high degree of acuity that they know that if they value collaboration, this is what their words and their actions look like so that they are congruent. And that we know builds trust. It builds trustworthiness. It builds count on ability, where people, when they look at us as leaders, can look at us and say, you know, I can count on you. You mean what you say. You do what you say. You live out through your expressions, your words and actions, what you really believe, what you really value as important, that what our team values as important, what our organization values as important. Count on ability, collective purpose, yep, sustainability, growth. Excellent. Now, at this point, most likely you've figured out what the next question is going to be. A few moments ago, each one of us spent a few moments listing 3, 4, 5 of our core values, our core beliefs: collaboration, integrity, authenticity, growth, abundance, some of those that showed up in the chat box. So now the question is, oh, but before we go there, is it possible? I think it is, at least based on my own experience, and I can speak to our team as well, for our team as well. There are moments, I think you'd agree, where our values and beliefs and our words and our actions, yeah, they don't quite line up. We're just off for that day. Maybe we didn't think something through. Maybe we committed to something without really considering all of what it would take to follow through on that. Whatever the reason, whatever the excuse, whatever the circumstance or context, the truth is, as being human, we're not perfect. Being human, we're infallible. No, we're fallible. As humans, we make mistakes. We have an error in our judgment, an error in our thought, a half-baked idea, something within us, perhaps outside of work, we brought into work and is affecting our relationships at some level. So there are moments, and I'll confess, more often than I would even like to admit, I think, is where my core values and beliefs and my words and my actions, they just don't line up. Something is a mismatch. And the very opposite happens of the things we put into the chat, the consequences, those outcomes or results of when we are congruent. And it's those moments where trust is eroded, vulnerability and honesty and communication wanes. People start pushing back or pushing away or stepping away from what they're called to do, or the relationship they have with one another or us as leaders. They pull away rather than lean in. They'll hide information rather than bring it forward and make it known. And I believe we all have had moments where just didn't line up. It just didn't line up. And the good news is, as you've experienced, and so have we, is great leaders admit when that happens. They consider for a moment like, oh man, I said and I didn't. Maybe we notice among the team the looks on their faces, the postures in their body. We're hearing little rumbles in the hallway, little back channel conversations that we get to sense this energetic, if you will, sense that things are just not quite right. And great leaders step up and say, hey, this is what just happened. I was just noticing, I'm reflecting on what I said and what I didn't do, or what I did and it just didn't line up with what we value. And I apologize for that. So what can I do? What can I do to make it right, to pull this thing back together? And when leaders take that place of vulnerability, they're reaching deep inside their core into who they are and what they stand for. And they remind themselves that if I believe in truth, if I believe in honesty, if I believe in growth, if I believe in abundance, if I believe in trust, if I believe in these things, then although I may not get it right all the time, but the times that I don't get it right, I can make it right. So the question that it makes sense to ask right now is, what's at my core? Part 2. Previously, we listed 3, 4, 5 of those core values and core beliefs. Now let's take a moment. Take a breath. Moment to be honest, trustworthy, perhaps just another level. For each core value and or belief that you listed, go ahead and write a corresponding, a congruent word or action. If collaboration is a core value, then a word or words I would use would be, what do you think? Would be a congruent set of words that express my value and my belief in collaboration. An action would be that we would pull the stakeholders together. Maybe we run a focus group, but we actually make the action of causing a meeting, inviting a meeting, and then asking, what do you think? What do you think? What if we were to do this? Let's take just another moment. Hopefully that gave you enough time to at least consider for a moment a reflective thought about, how am I doing with my congruence? How are my values and beliefs lining up with my words and my actions? If somebody was to follow you around inconspicuously with a video camera and a microphone, And they were to follow you around throughout your day. And they had a list of your core values, or what the team's core value, organization's core values and beliefs are. And they knew that their job was to find evidence, to record evidence of those values and beliefs in action, being expressed overtly in every interaction that happens, in every communication that happens, email, WhatsApp, every phone call, every decision that's made. If we played back the video, how would that look on a scale of 1 to 10? For me, I hope it'd be 8 or better. I'll be honest, I think I would hope for 8 or better. 10 would put me in a category that, wow, I'm not sure. But I would hope for an 8, a 9, somewhere in there. So the question today is, what's at your core? Are you clear about what that is? Have you spent time defining what that core value is? What does it mean? What's the definition of it? And then expressing that core value in, this is what specifically it looks like. This is a great exercise to do with your team. Sit down together, say, hey, there are 3 things that we absolutely at our core, we value, we would stake our professional careers on. What would they be? List them on a whiteboard on a sheet of paper. And then for each one of those, ask, have a dialogue. What does this look like? What are the actions that people could say, wow, when we do this, that means we have this belief, this value? And what would the words that people would hear? What would we say to those around us? What a wonderful exercise to do with your team. Perhaps you've done it. Maybe you did that at a retreat sometime. Pulled the team away, secluded yourselves, filled the room with flip chart paper and markers, and pulled together vision and values and mission. And maybe you did that once. So the question is, did it stay in a drawer? Did it stay in the flip chart? Is it tucked away somewhere in some nice Google file? Maybe. On our team, I'm going to say, I'm thinking, team, as I'm kind of looking at you, I'm thinking that if not on a weekly basis, at least on an every other week basis, we're checking in and reminding ourselves about our core values and our core traits, and considering for a moment, how are we doing within ourselves with these, and then also in expressing our values and beliefs and our core traits with others as well. Great leaders know this one truth. It starts at not just the core, it starts at my core. We know that if we have a desire to build something in our people, to build a culture, an atmosphere where everybody can thrive, everybody can step up, even surprise themselves at the performance that they can do. If that's what we want, we know that that first has to be built within us. If we want greater collaboration, am I collaborating? If we desire greater communication, how is my communication? Is it clear? Is it consistent? Do I mean what I say? Do I say what I mean? If we want greater performance, how's our performance? How am I doing with my own expectations, my expectations with the team and the organization, the company? Do I have those same expectations on myself? Not about perfection. It's about how excellent can we be of exhibiting that congruence between our values and beliefs and our words and our actions. Because it starts at our core. Thank you for paying attention, participating, engaging in our conversation so far today. At this point, turn it back over to Charles and Kumbu as they wrap this masterclass up with a few ideas, thoughts of their own, and then what to look forward to next. Charles and Kumbu, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Mark, for an awesome session. It has been brilliant. For me, it has been brilliant. Please give me a 2 on the chat box if tonight's session has been of benefit to you one way or the other. Just give me a 2 on the chat box. Let's see. Right, thank you. I see a 2 from Walimo. So a 2. Thank you, Paige, Kumbo. Tonight's session has been awesome. Thank you so much, even for your feedback. We really appreciate you guys taking time to be with us on this masterclass, and we believe that you benefited something. Our main objective is that we empower and build one another. So we are so excited about that. Just imagine with me as a society that is full of people who know what is at their core. What is at your core? Are your words and actions congruent with your values and beliefs? And have we noticed that when those are congruent, the results are actually awesome? The results are what we want. The results are what we want our citizens to be like. Not just citizens, even our teams in our workplaces. When we have that as an outcome, we will thrive, we will grow, we'll build better teams. So at this level, please imagine with me also where we have young people that know what is at their core, young people that are empowered at this age. Atmos and QLG have a desire and a dream and a vision to host an event where we are going to delve even more on this subject. Tonight was just a teeny weeny bit. It was just a tip of the iceberg. But we believe that we can actually have some time where we spend even the whole evening, the whole day, deliberating on these issues. So our dream and our desire is that this coming August, we host an event where we will have people from all over the country come together, especially leaders, come together to deliberate on these issues that can actually make us better leaders and can actually assist us to build better teams. And in this event, what we envisage or desire is that each and everyone who participates contributes something towards being part of this event. The whole idea is that a percentage of that contribution will go towards a camp that will last for 4 days. And the camp will happen a week after the corporate event. And in this camp, we want to have young people, probably ages between 14 and 22, but everything is subject to confirmation. And we want to empower and build these young people, like make them understand that the benefit of knowing what is at your core, building and cultivating great values to stand on and beliefs that will actually make them better people and better citizens for the future. We want to empower them on life skills, leadership, character development, the aspects that are necessary for our young people to be better people. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I believe that we will keep communicating because we have your contact for those of you that registered to be part of this masterclass. So we'll keep you updated on the developments, but we're looking forward to having you as part of our corporate event, as we are going to be sharing more information and sharing more details on what will transpire. But all in a nutshell, thank you so much, Mark, for an awesome presentation. Thank you so much to the QLG team. For now, the quantum learning team is just 2 members. I introduced myself. I'm Charles Bongan Dlamini, and the other partner in crime, no, not in crime, the partner at Atmos is Kumbu Dlamini, who just happens to be my wife. I don't know how, but yeah. So we are passionate about this subject, and we are looking forward to having great things. So thank you so much for your time tonight. I believe that for those of us that well into the evening, we'll have a wonderful night of rest. And for those of us who are experiencing like early morning, we will have a great and awesome day. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to great and awesome and amazing things to come.